morning to everyone. Yes, please say good morning. Tell us where you're from. I'm seeing Roodepoort. I'm seeing Alberton. Oh, thank you very much for making time. Cape Town. I think we're a bit colder here in Joburg than in Cape Town. I'm not quite sure. Um, so that's one thing that is absolutely amazing. And then we are, let's see, Cape Town Springs, and I'm seeing a lot of new names. That is absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. So what I'm just doing here in the background while greeting everyone and getting everybody welcomed, I see a few new agencies. We've got such an exciting session this morning. And as you know, we always go about and to see what can we do to improve the rental agents' lives, because sure, it's a lot of administration, it's a lot of things that has to happen, and that's something that we sometimes try to prevent. So what I just quickly want to do here in the background, yeah, play end of music. Paul Williams going to think this is why this lady needs a system, because sure, it's going all over the place. So the good news is we're done with the music for now. Hopefully, it's not going to play again. And we are going to run through an amazing system. But there's a lot of things happening in the next month or so. Richard's Bay, good morning. That is amazing. We are having we have an amazing lineup that we are looking forward to. And one of the things that you guys must please diarize, I'm going to quickly share this so that you can see it, is on the 15th of July, we're having a legal session and we're going to talk about letter of demands. That is going to be exciting. I know people go, Elise, I've heard about letter of demands 100 times. There's nothing new. Nothing's going to change in my life. But please log in, because it's not just what happens, the consequences, but also what we're seeing in the market, the responses we're getting and all of those type of things. So please don't forget it, put it in your diary. And then the 17th of, well, technically on the 18th of July is Mandela Day. And if you've been walking a road with Xpello, you know this is one of the highlights of our year. We like giving back to the community. And what we're going to do is on the 17th of July, we are going to have a Mandela Day again at our office. And what we're going to do is we are going to focus on getting sanitary pads. Very interesting. I don't know if you knew this, but girls in disadvantaged areas are missing about 60 days of school a year because they do not have that. So we're going to look at those things, and it's not expensive. You can buy it for R6 at a Spar or R5 at a ShopRite. So that's affordable. So that, and we're looking at soap, cup of soup, and noodles. That is the 4 items we are going to focus on getting together. So on the 17th of July, we are going to share this with everyone. We are going to make it, we're going to invite you to our offices. We're going to have nice soup here because it's in the winter. Come have a cup of soup, bring your donations, come mingle with me and the team and our mind. And we're going to have lots of fun. So please don't miss out on that. And we're giving you guys note now so that you can start saving up. Or if you're going to the shops and you see that cheap item, please buy it and put it together that we can see how we can help organizations. So that is something that is super amazing. Then what we are going to do this morning, I'm very privileged to have William Saunders here from Talozen. Just an interesting sake, I'm going to run, I don't know if you ever heard about Talozen. Now, this is also where I test you guys, because we don't just like black blocks, we want interaction. So please, if you have heard about Talozen before, please send us a thumbs up. If you haven't heard about Talozen before, this is something new. Then you're going to send me a balloon. No, because why? I'm bringing something new to the feature. So if you go to your reactions at the bottom, if you heard about Talozen before, please give us a thumbs up. If you haven't heard about Talozen before, please give us a balloon. You see the balloons are coming through, William. We're going to enrich these people's lives today. I can see it. William, thank you very much for taking the time and sharing your knowledge this morning. It's great to have you.
Fantastic. Yeah, thanks so much for that amazing introduction. I think, yeah, even though it was short, it's a hard act to follow. I think your enthusiasm and joy is contagious. So yeah, it's such a privilege, and thanks so much. I think we're super excited about this collaboration with Xpello. Um, I'm super keen to get to know everyone in your community. Yeah, so let me I'm going to share my screen and take you through a bit of an introduction
Please,
to Talozen, who we are, where we started, and kind of why we really exist. Yeah. Okay, so let's dive into it. Okay, so I'll just share my screen here, and let's do that full desktop there. Okay. Okay, so you should be seeing my screen. I'll see. Yeah, is that good, Elise?
yes, you can see your screen.
Okay,
Thank you.
perfect. All right. Okay. So yeah, so Talozen, right? So it's a rental management platform, and we built it specifically for South African real estate agencies. And our promise to you is to enable you to get more mandates and for you to do less admin, right? I think, we just get used to things and we think, okay, great, yeah, we just have to do this paperwork and we have to send these emails and we have to fill in these PDFs and send these WhatsApps. But we came in and said maybe we could do this a different way, right? Um, so we want you to go 100% paperless, and a lot of our clients are they 100% paperless. So that printer, you can sell it on Gumtree, right? You can save hundreds, if not thousands, of rands on paper bills, and printer ink. You don't need to print anything. We also want to enable you to scale your application. So that's the lifeblood of your agencies, right? How many applications can you get in? Good applications for your rentals, right? And for your landlords as well. And then we want you to be able to track your performance. So this is on an agent level, but also from a management level. Um, how are you doing, right? And often we feel very busy and admin work makes us feel like we're doing stuff, but are we effective in moving the agency forward, right? Are we getting more mandates? So we want to enable you to be able to do that. Um, and then we'd like to give you time back so that you can grow your business. That's really the what we're after here. Okay. All right, so today what we'll cover quite briefly is compliance challenges in South African real estate, not only compliance, but operational challenges, how we help automate that admin, and then a small case study from CIF Durbanville and Valgedacht, one of our first agencies that we started working with. And then I'm going to show you our pricing. You can look at all of this on our website as well, but we like to be very upfront with how much is this going to cost. It's one of the first things on people's minds. It's like, wow, this is amazing, but if it's too expensive, it's not going to work. And then I'm going to take you through a live demo of getting a landlord into the system and generating a mandate, right? So this is on our live system. Um, and I think, they warn you, particularly in technology, to do live demos. And I don't want to jinx it, but, I've done many, many demos and everything works 100% fine. It's kind of like, directors don't like working with children and animals. It's kind of like that. There's a bit of risk. But we're 100% happy with that. So, okay. So the problem that we're all feeling and is really about this bottleneck, right? Of all this manual work you're doing. Okay. Um, there are emails, there are WhatsApps, there are, driving to people, multiple sort of channels that you're dealing with, all of this stuff, and then you're printing stuff out, you're filling in PDFs. Often, people send the wrong documents in, so we know compliance is a big issue as well. So yeah, so all of this stifles your agency growth. You don't quite know where the blind spots are, and ultimately it caps your revenue, right? It's time consuming. You don't know what's going on. There's no oversight, and it's very inefficient. So the four pillars of Talozen that we aim to solve this problem with is growth without increased costs, right? So we want to scale your operations without adding administrative headcount or putting more burden onto your agents. So we want you to grow. We want you to be able to control your book, so you can see everything in one place, all your application statuses, your occupancy rates, track your financial data, individual agent performance, that kind of stuff. And then we want to build super agents, right? So we know there's massive untapped growth potential in agents in South Africa. They're just being bogged down by this paperwork, right? By this admin. And if we get rid of that, we can build super agents. So we can shift you from doing half of your day sometimes on admin to almost nothing, a few minutes a day. And then all of this is guardrailed, right? So it's information gathering in a guardrailed system. So it's almost like you don't really need to think, am I doing this right? Am I doing it wrong? Am I collecting the right information or not? The system does that for you, right? And we're FICA ready. So we make sure that all those documents, we know these big fines that FIC are dishing out now. I think that's on everybody's mind, right? Our system guards against that. So we make sure all that information's in, everything's time-stamped, and it's auditable ready, right? So it's ready for if you're audited, everything's there and everything's POPI compliant. Yeah, so we're moving from chaos to clarity. So before you're collecting documents via email or WhatsApp, now the tenant is uploading everything in one portal. Manually verifying IDs and running credit checks. Now it's a one-click credit check in the system integrated with TPN, right? So you can run a credit check at 12 at night on the weekend. You're not limited to your admin. Chasing tenants for missing paperwork, that's in the past now. The system flags if there are missing documents automatically, but we also require at that application stage, people have to give you all the documents, right? Tracking compliance in spreadsheets, there's a dashboard. You can see, are these people compliant or not? What documents are missing potentially, or they need to be updated. Maybe the photo's a bit wrong, that kind of thing. Printing and signing and scanning lease agreements, everything's digital now. So digital signing is baked in, right? So you don't need to get wet signatures or anything like that, or getting funny signatures back. Okay, there's two main flows that we cover. That's the onboarding of the landlord and generating that mandate. Right. So the first step is owner information gathering. I'm going to take you through this in a live demo now. Getting all that FICA information, and then they land in for approval. The next step is generating the draft and the mandate. You can check all that information and draft that mandate with a click of the button. And then the third step is signing that mandate. So you can send it off for signature, and this goes off to all the landlords and the agents simultaneously. People can sign whenever they want, and it all comes back together in one go, right? And then the second phase is the application and lease signing. So you can send out applications, and I said before we allow you to scale. So you can send 10, 100 links, requests for these applications to come in to tenants. It doesn't matter. They're doing the work, right? So you can scale that out. You can also create a link on that property for that property that you can post on WhatsApp, on Facebook, and thousands of people can apply, right? For that. You're not limited by processing applications. It comes through to for agent approval, so you can have a look at those applications, and run a credit check right in there. You can view that and then actually discuss that application in the tool. So you can have a conversation with your teammates. This is a B grade, from TPN. But it looks okay. Let's push it through or not, right? You can discuss everything on the system. The second phase, the step 5 in this process, is then drafting that lease, one-click drafting, and the property condition report, which was generated in the mandate phase, is attached, and the rules attached as well. If the rule, if you're in a complex or an estate, those rules are then attached as well. You send that out for signature, and all of those documents are signed. One signature goes onto everything, right? So you're not sending rule books and the property condition reports separately, and please sign and print it out, and you get weird stuff back. Payment is included in that process as well. So when you're sending out an application, often you'll have an application fee. It depends, and you don't have to have this, but we collect that application fee on your behalf in a payment gateway. So you don't have to worry about all these funny little bits, these little invoices that are coming in. We collect that and then give it to you, give it back to you at the end of the month. And likewise with the lease fee, we're also collecting that. The tenant has to pay that fee before they sign, right? So you don't have to chase people for that payment. They have to pay it before they sign, right? And then all of that comes back, the signed lease, the landlord signed, all the tenants have signed, and the agent has signed, and there you go. And then there is a third phase, which is renewals, which is super important, obviously, and very time consuming. And often stuff slips through the cracks. So we've got a whole flow there for renewals as well. Okay. Worth mentioning here as well, I will show you in the demo now, but we cater for complex juristic entity cases as well, right? So we know this is a big problem. You got to ask a landlord if they're a juristic entity, how many directors are there? What is the structure? Often a business owns another business, gets quite complex, right? But we're actually in our application process asking that landlord to tell you, this is my structure. These are the directors. These are the people you need to FICA. If it's a trust, who are the beneficiaries? We ask them all of that stuff, and it goes into the system, and it's all organized really nicely, so you don't have to worry about that. Okay, so yeah, we started with Seif Durbanville about a year and a half ago with them in the agency space. We've been going for 5 years in the real estate space. We started with Baldwin Properties. We process all of the sales agreements, right? So if you buy a property on Baldwin today, you click that buy button. That's our system that is gathering the information, doing the FICA, generating an OTP that is digitally signed. We know that's not legal. They've got a deal with the banks. They do a wet signature later. But we've processed probably close to about 15,000 of those OTPs now without a hitch. So it's working really well at scale. We work with a large student organization called Campus Central. They run about 2,800 leases per year. They do that with 2 admin staff because everything's automated in our system. And that's over a period of 4 months. So it works really well at that kind of scale. And then we've been working with quite a few Seif agencies. Seif Durbanville was one of them. So we looked at them. Their agents were spending on average 4 hours a day on admin. It's absolutely crazy. Management didn't have oversight of this. Growth was basically capped to how many people they had. The results after our system, they grew 27% in the first year, right? And our system was pivotal to that. They were a great team, I think, and fantastic management, but we did help them get there. Another advantage of the system was that the agents were retained, right, and actually attracted new top agents. So this really, really helps you retain agents. And then the data is kind of owned by that agency as well. So we've got Mish Versfeld saying, they started 30 minutes on a single lease. Now it takes about 5 minutes. Allison saying, the administrative work is so much easier and quicker. and they don't experience any difficulty with that. And then Daniela, who's the rental asset manager, absolutely revolutionized their workflow and their business. So our pricing is very simple. I'll start here and then I'll jump into the demo. So it's 27.50 per active unit. We only charge if a unit is active. So if you're actually doing something on it, you can put your whole book in there, 300 units, whatever it is. We don't charge you for all those units. It's only if you're processing a lease on that unit, then we charge you per month for that property. And then you get all for that a full CRM, unlimited tenant applications, and feature checks. So you can run a feature check at any point on anybody. One-click mandate lease generation, TPN credit checks built in, and then renewal management, agency performance tracking, and we give you training upfront and then ongoing support in the tool itself. Okay, perfect, cool. Okay, so this is yeah, these webinars are always a bit strange because there's just absolute silence and I'm droning on. But I think yeah, all good, cool.
William, it sounds absolutely amazing. And I know when people see costs, and I'm looking down because I can't calculate out of my head. But just to give you guys an idea, so 27 Rand 50 times 12 is 330 Rand. And technically, you can make up that fee as part of your initial fees, even if it's your credit check or your onboarding of the mandate. That is something how you can actually recover that money very easily. So it shouldn't be seen as just an extra expense. I always like doing the calculations like that.
Cool. Yeah, exactly. Okay, awesome. Yeah, so I think you should be seeing the system now. Is that correct on the screen? Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Perfect, perfect. Okay, so I'll zoom in a little bit. Some people may be on smaller screens. Um, yeah, so I'll give you a little bit of an overview. Won't be too extensive, and then I'll jump into this demo. I just want to time so there is some time for questions at the end. Yeah, so we've got a quite a simple dashboard here where you can see all your active properties. You can see your leases and then the phase that those leases are in, right? And this is an interactive dashboard, so I can click in here and I can view all the leases that are in the signing stage, for instance, and I can jump in here and actually open these up and then view all the information on that lease, any fees that were paid, what's going on here, right? And I can actually view those documents right there. And then, yeah, who's the agent, which tenants are attached, what property is attached, who's the owner, all of that kind of stuff. Okay. Further down, and then I can filter this by agent as well. So there we go. I can now just see Alison's stuff over there. In your agency, each agent will only see their inventory as well. So everything's sectioned off. And we do have a system where if you've got an admin assistant, that person can only see your stuff and operate your inventory. Your renewals, so your approvals, your draft, anything in draft and send, and then anything in sign in. And then your mandates. So your leads, your authority to list, signing of the mandates, and then active mandates. Okay, next section is where you create your leads for your landlords and your tenants. And then we have our leases section here. So as I said, it's a workflow that we've built that works for, we've got over 20 large agencies now working in our system. So the workflow really works. And it starts at the top. You start with your leads coming in. So you're sending these application links out. They're coming in, they're filling stuff in, paying the fee. You can track all of that in the system here. And then the next section is there's an approval section. I'll show you what that looks like now. But we can see drafting and sending of these and anything that's in the signing phase. And then we've got awaiting move in. So once we've got the lease, then it moves over to accounting. And I think this is an important point. I didn't mention this in the beginning, but we are everything before accounting, right? So we're not replacing PayProp. We're not replacing We Connect You. We're kind of after property 24, right? So you're getting all these leads in, to sending applications, getting that information in, up to the lease being signed and processing renewals, right? We're that bit in the middle, the kind of very time-consuming admin bit. Okay. All right. Next section on mandates. So very similar, you're seeing the items moving through from lead to authority to list to mandate to active. All your properties are listed here, so you can search these properties. You can view the active mandates, the active leases on them, the renewals, everything in one place. You can filter, and you can group things. You can, so there's quite a lot of really cool tools available. Owners, all your owners are listed here. You can click through, and then you can send a FICA questionnaire to anybody at any point, right? So you might want to re-FICA an owner, specifically maybe at renewal time. You can send them just to get their FICA details. Okay. We've got our tenants here as well. All your tenants are listed here, natural, juristic. You can click through and view those guys. Your complexes are listed here as well, and this is where you can then attach your rule books, which are automatically signed when that lease is signed. The system is automated, so you would send a link out and we automatically generate the owner, the property, the tenant, all of those objects that now live in the system are automatically generated. But you can manually create any of these things, right? So it's a CRM system. You might want to just look at create an owner, property, mandate, whatever it is. You can do that. You've got a full account section here, so all your defaults for your lease, your mandates you set here, your agency details that are attached to the leases are here. Agent management, so you can add and remove agents and administrators as well. All your payments are listed here, and so you can view everything that's come in. Any issues, so this is kind of housekeeping stuff, properties without active leases or renewals or past end dates, that kind of stuff. And then we've got a demographic section. How many of your properties are in a house, an apartment? How many owners are there? Tenants, marital status, that kind of stuff. It's quite useful for marketing. We have a Talozen docs section. So we do comprehensive training, but you have a section here where you've got videos of how it works, the overview page, that kind of stuff, and then guides on creating a lead, getting a mandate going, a lease, a renewal. So you can always come back here and refresh, if you don't know how to do anything. You've got an FAQ section there. Perfect. So let's go ahead and create a lead. Okay, so typically you would have met with the landlord, you've viewed the house or apartment, and you're saying to them, okay, I just need to do FICA and a property condition report. I'm going to send a link to you so you can complete that. Okay, so I'll just change this to will owner over there as a test, and I'll put my email in here. And we track the lead channel as well. So let's say this is from WhatsApp or something like that. And then we attach the agents. Okay. You have an option to do a full application. So this is gathering amenities, utilities, charges to the tenant, like everything needed for that mandate. But often you just want the minimal stuff, right? You want to get that mandate through. So we're going to send that through. You can capture this without sending the email. And you just store it as a lead, but I'm going to send this off to that owner. Okay. So now we jump back in. I can see the status here is link not sent, and the system's going to work and it's going to send that off. And now we say it's link sent. So I've got full tracking of all of this. So I've got my leads that link not sent, my lead that has been sent, and there we are. Okay, I can now send this via WhatsApp. So if you've got WhatsApp on your phone, so we've got a full app that you can download. You can do this in the field, in your car, whatever. If you've got WhatsApp on there, you can now send this link via WhatsApp as well. Okay, so I'm just going to, and you can also copy the link to your clipboard and then open that up. So now the owner would have got an email with your branding, everything, and a subdomain for your agency as well. So it's coming from you. Um, okay, so it's just they won't see this. There's just a few interviews here because I did one just to test. So I'm just clearing those, and let's start that guy again. Okay. All right. So they're going to click that link and they're going to say, let's get your property rented. Let's go. Just need a few details from you. How many owners are there? If they're married, we need the spouse. But if they say they're married later on in the interview, we'll capture that and say, hey, you need to add your spouse as well. Okay. The owner name. And then, as I mentioned, we cater for juristic entities. So if it's a company, if it's a trust, we're going to now gather all of those details for that company or for that trust here. I'm just going to go with the natural person. We do an algorithmic check on the ID to make sure that it is real. Okay, so if they type in the wrong ID number, we'll say, hey, that's not real. So we're putting in these kind of filters for bad applications to come in and make sure that good data is coming through. Okay. So let's go ahead and start this. First name, surname, marital status, if they're married, are you in community or property or not? So the process goes screen by screen, like little bits of information, and then only asking them for info that is needed at that point. We also cater for foreign nationals, so give us your passport number and all those details there. Okay. So if I go back into our system here, I can see that the status has changed now to gathering the owner details. So we can see in real time where those landlords are, right? So I'm now in the second phase here, owner details. Okay. So if they're sitting here for 2 days, you can give them a call. Hey, what's going on? Are you having some trouble? So contact details. Everything is pre-filled because it's a demo. But if the person is on your system already, we do put that in. So we never duplicate these records. So it'll be all pre-populated for people who are already in. So their physical address, is the postal address the same or not? And then the regulatory disclosures. So it's often these application forms have this like massive amount of text. Are you a politically exposed person with the definition? It's quite confusing for a person to have to read through that, right? But everything is only visible if they want to read the definition here. They can click that link. And if they are, then we ask them, are you, a member of whatever it is? So they're not hit with this like negative stuff at this application phase. Any judgments or any debt review. Source of your funds and your occupation. The tax number, and then are they VAT registered or not, right? And then ask them to upload a photo. So I'll just upload some dummy documents here. This is for Fika, so we're matching the selfie. Obviously, this isn't me. I wish it was. And yeah, so matching the ID to that photo, and they can't continue without uploading the stuff, right? So they might upload bad documents, but it is a check, and then you can view those documents that they've uploaded and ask them, maybe you need to WhatsApp it to me. Most of the time, almost 100% of the time, all the documents are fine. But at least they guided through the documents in a really nice, easy to understand way. Okay, so proof of current address. And there we go. So all the owner details are now complete. And we can continue to banking details. Now, from feedback from our clients, some owners don't want to give the banking details, particularly at the authority to list phase, right? They say like, why do you want this? You don't even have a tenant for me yet. So we have an option. They don't need to provide that. And then we continue to the property details. How many properties to rent? So they can upload 10 at this stage if they want, if they're an investor or a business perhaps, up to 2, 3, whatever it is. Let's just do 1. What type of property is it? And then is it in a complex estate? And which complex is it in? So I'm going to put this in an estate just to show you how the rule books are going to be signed. And then let's put this in Cape Town over there. Property condition report now. So are there defects? And if yes, let's type those in. let's hope you're not renting out a house with a leaking roof. But and then they go through all the defects, possible ones, yes, no, not applicable. They just cycle down, and then they can push continue. And then the exciting part embedded in this process is the Xpello tenant default protection value proposition. So we've got links to the Xpello site and explanation of like the specialist attorneys, that kind of stuff, how Xpello protects you, average saving per case, all of this great stuff. And the nice thing here is that it's a very soft sell to your landlord. They're aware of this now, and they're looking at it in their own time. They're not being, you don't have to go into an awkward sales situation. They're reading it in their own time, and they can view the costs and, and also that they can pass the cost and go on to the tenant, but chat to your agents about that. If they say no, you can always change this at a later stage. So, you can still chat to them and say, you really need Xpello. It's a fantastic product, right? Okay. Most will say yes. And there we go. So the information has now been submitted, and we can see the status wasn't property details here. This is now going to change to authority to list, draft, and send, right? So all you've done is sent a link to that owner, right? You've sat back, and basically they've uploaded everything. I can now scroll down here, and I can see the property has been generated here. I can see the owner, a natural person with that selfie, and all the information here, as well as the FICA prescribed client form is automatically generated and digitally verified when it was digitally accepted. You can download that if you want as well. And then all their documents have been uploaded. Okay, and then you've got all your mandate details here as well, which you can then fill in. You can also process this manually if you don't want to digitally send it. Maybe it's a paper mandate, you can upload it. But let's go ahead and draft and send this one here. Okay. So now we're gathering the property, the owner information, and we're seeing, okay, what's missing to generate this mandate. And then we'll guide the agent through filling in that information. So we can see it's told us, hey, the rent sort hasn't been filled in yet, and the deposit sort hasn't been filled in. So and we can also add some text that's negotiable. Okay, this all looks good. I can also add special conditions and specific tenant requirements if I want to. And then we get onto the property details. The township was missing over there, and the earth number. And then, is smoking allowed? Are pets allowed? Is it furnished or not? And then finally, banking details need to be here, but I'm just going to say we'll provide those at a later stage. Okay. And finally, there we go. So we've got our authority to list has now been generated. I can now view that draft. Okay, so all that information now has been put in really nice and neat and legible. All the defaults from your agency are in there. Any special conditions, and all of this is ready for the landlord and the practitioner to sign. The property condition report has also been generated. We've got the defects, which I said were in there, and that's also ready to be signed. All of this content now can be edited, right? So I can change the landlords if I want. I can change any property information, utilities, amenities. These aren't necessary for the authority to list, so you don't have to put them in. But let's say, actually, that defect on the roof, I had a look at it, and it's not actually that bad. So I'm going to say there aren't any defects. I'll save that. And now we generate that authority to list again, view that draft. Yeah, so in the property condition report, sorry. And now we can see that that's updated, right? So in real time, we can just edit any of the stuff, and the authority to list property condition report is edited. Okay, let's continue to signing. This is the landlord that application came in, and the agent. Let's send that off for signature. So now we're compiling that document and sending that off to the owner, the landlord, and to the agent as well for signature. send that off. Off it goes. Takes a few minutes. And yeah. So the nice thing here as well is you get notified once that landlord has signed. You get an email saying, "Great, that mandate has been signed." Okay. Let's just
Well,
close these.
while it's sending, can I quickly ask you two questions?
Yes, 100%.
So the first thing that I want to ask is, of course, the template of the mandate. Do the agents have to use your template, or do you use the agency's template that you then build into the system? How does that work?
Yeah, so we can use your template. It's loosely based. The current one is based on a TPN mandate, but it's highly modified. But we'll look at your mandate and we can put in whatever conditions that you need. And likewise for the lease. Look, easiest case is you're basing it on the TPN, but we can do any lease agreement. Yeah.
Okay, and then just the other question, what was quite good, is the mandatory disclosure form. According to the PPRA, it has to be exactly the same as the website. Your copy, is it exactly the same as their website? You guys just complete the information, hey? But
It's
otherwise,
a
it's exactly the same.
It's exactly the same, 100%. Yeah, yeah. So everything is 100% compliant. As we said, we've been working closely with CEF. So this has gone through multiple months of their compliance department. The nice thing with the system as well is that if anything changes on your lease agreement for your agency, automatically updated for all your agents. They don't need to go in. Oh, I need to get the latest one from the Google Doc. Oh, I signed on the last one. Sorry, Mr. Landlord, you've got to re-sign. So you don't need to worry about any of that as well. Okay,
Okay, thank you.
cool. So in the flow now, yeah, great questions. We have the agent can now sign. We can sign with the mouse. That you can type your name or upload a signature image. I'm going to sign with the mouse, and they can view the documents here as well, so they can open them up and view them. I'll just sign with that, and if they're on their phone, they can use their finger to sign. And there we go. The agent has now signed, and I'm just going to go back into the system here, and we can see that Ian Jones, who's the agent, he's signed the date and the time, right? The document is automatically updated as well in real time. So as people sign, and it doesn't have to go to the landlord first, then the agent or whatever. It goes to everybody, and as people sign, it automatically comes back through. So we can see that the property practitioner has signed there. I'm going to so the agent, the landlord has received an email, but I'm just going to get that link, which obviously you can copy and send, and open it up here. Okay, so I'll sign as the landlord now. I'm going to sign with just typing my name. Okay, here we go, and I'll just type my name here. And there we go. I've signed successfully now. Okay, so let's just go back here. All right, so we can see now that the landlord has signed, and now we've moved into the next phase, which is the mandate, draft and send, because this was an authority to list. And I can see that that authority to list document has now been signed by both parties, right? Okay, so this can be as quick as this demo, right? You can get a signed authority to list with the person in front of you on your phone. If you're viewing a property, send them the link. They can then sign right there and then. Fantastic. So the next phase after this is you would then send out applications for tenants, right, to get the tenants in. I'm not going to go through that whole process. So I've got one lined up here. I think somewhere, and here we go. So it's this one over here. So your leads would come in, people would fill in all their information, their FICA documents there, and there's a bit more information gathered around affordability. And it would come through for approval. You then approve it and generate you can then do a TPN credit check. So I'll just show you how that works here. I can just scroll down, open up the tenant here, and I can run a credit check right from the system over here. So I just click that button, run credit check. What amount am I running that credit check on? And then we work with, calling TPN system. This is your TPN account as well. So whatever TPN credit check you do, we would then run. So if you do the gold one, whatever it is, or any extra checks, we run that, and that result is then returned back. Okay. So that's going to come back in. It might take a while because it's a demo system here, and then you'll be able to view that that one over there. I'll just see maybe this one has been done already, and let's just check that out. No, okay. So let's go ahead and generate this lease. So we're going to open this up. It's taking in the mandate information, the property information, the landlord information, the tenant information, and the lease information, putting all of that together and saying, okay, great, what information is missing? It will then guide you through any missing information and say, even if you've got minimal information on your mandate, we will then say, okay, you need some stuff like the property condition or whatever it might be. And there we go. So we've generated that lease draft. I can open that up and I can view all that information is nice and neat. And this is now ready to be sent off for signature. I can also view the property condition report has been generated as well. And the rules have been generated as well. So if it's within a complex, we've attached those rules, and that's ready for signature as well. I can go ahead, I can change any of this information here at this point, and I can then continue to signing. So yeah, I can send this off. I just may as well, send this off for signature here. I won't go through the whole signing thing. I think you get the idea with the mandate. But yeah, that's pretty much the system. And yeah, there we go. And that's all been sent off there. Last thing to mention is renewals. So 80 days before, or whatever time period you want, we generate a renewal lease. You get notified that a renewal lease has been generated, and then you can process these. So you've got oversight of all your renewal leases. You can then approve these and then draft and send them off for signature. You can also do an addendum renewal from the system as well, and then send that off for signature. So this is a really great way to track all your renewals here. Those goes off on the move-in date, then the active lease becomes inactive, and then the renewal lease becomes the active lease. Okay, great. Yeah, so we've got 10 minutes, Elise. I don't know what you usually do here, but maybe we can open up. I see there are quite a few questions which I have not been reading at all, so I can have a look.
That's why I'm here, William. I mean, I'm absolutely at awe. I hope you guys are all seeing this and thinking, oh, this is going to make my life so much easier. So if you're enjoying, I saw a couple of thumbs up and hand claps coming up, William, while you were talking. And I'm going to run through a few of the questions. At this stage, there isn't integration directly with any of the systems. You basically will have, like you said, your WeConnect system, your PayProp system, or your RIO system, and then you will use the Talozen system separately, correct?
Yes, correct. We are in talks with those systems to integrate. So obviously, from an admin point of view, you'd love to, as that account comes in, you can then push it through. And we are working on that with them.
But I also think it's easier to, export and upload. I think that is something that all systems are able to do. And it's going to be much easier because at this stage, you're sending out a physical form, they're signing it, and then you have to go and sort out the handwritten information sometimes, which is absolutely a nightmare. So that is one thing that can be I think, like you said, where we are in the gap, you guys are situated in the gap is something that really is needed. The second question is just to make sure you guys do not have a maintenance component. So this is not the intention of taking away your Red Rabbit or your property inspect or any of that, correct?
At this point, we don't have that. It is on our roadmap. You can obviously see where it would fit in and how it would be really nice to have it in one system. And we are working on that currently. Yeah.
Okay. And then I've learned something this morning. So Tanya, thank you very much. She asked and said, I did not see the TFS search. Now, William, I don't know if you know what is the TFS search. I didn't know. So I actually had to go, what's that?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, so this is a compliance. This is actually the next thing we're releasing, specifically within the CEIF group, but it's for the broader market as well. Is an ironclad compliance system, right? Where that search will be included, and but everything from your back office, everything you need to be FICA compliant and avoid those fines. That's our next component that we're launching. That's going to be ready in probably about 2 months' time.
Okay. But I mean, at this stage, I know with tenants, the FICA part is if they use their own TPN system, so you guys link the TPN system with your system, that is also on the TPN report, they do all of those checks. So that is
That,
incorporate. I mean, you basically just draw that whole report in.
correct, yeah. So if you do have that check and you want to do it via TPN, then that's included in that report that you get back, yeah. And yeah,
Okay.
and then anti-money laundering and terrorism, all those searches, that's what we're working on, integrating with those systems, so you can do that search instantly. Yeah, that'll be included. But for now, you can do that outside the system and upload those results in one place, at least, yeah.
And then, William, this is a very good question as well, is because we know TPN also updates their lease agreements every 4 months or every so often. If a TPN lease agreement is updated, I assume then the client can decide whether they want to use the updated lease agreement. They inform you guys and you then update the system, hey, in order to
Yeah,
generate the documents.
yeah, 100% correct. So your lease agreement that you have is the one that is in the system, right? So if you update yours or you want to update it to the latest TPN, we do that for you, right? So you're in control of what mandate you have and what lease. We don't just automatically use the TPN one. Yeah. So it's your lease agreement. If you're using the TPN one, then it's fine. Yeah.
Mm. And what I love is and just the fact that it makes it much easier. I think we all have to realize the purpose of this system is that physical forms that people complete, the email that you send in order for them to go type in. This system basically takes the information and it go places it the right places, and they completed it the right. So it makes it much easier to process because it can be very daunting. Being an owner and or a tenant, you get all of these documents and you have so much to complete. And the system, William, what you've shown me, it makes it almost easy and nice to quickly go through everything and to complete it. So it doesn't feel as daunting.
Yes, 100%. And we've worked quite hard to iterate the system so it is really easy. But I think the other aspect to it is it's predictable, right?
Mm.
So it's the same process. And it means that you as an agent know, okay, they're at that stage and they're filling in the stuff. You don't have to worry about, oh, have things changed or I forgot to do this. It's always there and it's always the same. Yeah. So it's a great custom experience for your customers. Yeah.
Okay, so while I'm asking a couple of other questions, I'm quickly running a poll, asking, are you using a system at this stage? Yes, and it's helping. No, not really. Yes, but is open for new options. Because I think we often get so excited. So, well, I like every new system. I think if there's something new out there, I always go try it. And one of the daunting things is, oh, now I have to move everything over. The setup is usually the biggest headache. But it sounds like you guys really take a road with the agencies. You help them to set everything up that they can start running as quickly as possible. You guys have an onboarding team, or you guys help the agency to get on board, right?
Yeah, 100%. Our onboarding's really great. What we do is if you're with PayProp or we connect you or Rios, you export all your current inventory and then we put that in for you, right? So you have like all your stuff in there and then we guide you through getting going, right? And agencies like if you want to sign up today, please do. You can be up and running tomorrow, right? And then it's really I guess sort of easy for an agent to get started And to learn how to use it is by doing it. So send those applications out, and then we're on hand. So we've got live support in the system. If you're stuck, you can say at support, I'm stuck, or we've got a WhatsApp channel that you can phone us on. So we're really good at that initial period of getting going.
So just the stats, well, that's very interesting. 49% on this stage doesn't really have a system. So you'll see Lizana's dropped Will's email address in there. Please copy it now. Send him an email if you guys want them to contact you, help you to give more information and so forth. So that is something amazing. Well, I have to say this because this was mind-blowing, the part over and above the Xpello part. That was absolutely amazing. But the fact that you said your application link for the tenants, you can create a generic one and you can actually put it there. So if I am a tenant and I'm looking at a property going, oh, I like this one, it's not like contact the agent or email somebody to get info. They can actually go onto the link and do the application and they pay for it. So in the morning, you already get this fully paid tenant report, everything, and you can see if this is a proper application or not.
100%. Yeah. So it works while you sleep, right? So you can put up a link on your advertisement, even a QR code on the unit that you're advertising. They might walk past or have a viewing. They scan it. They put that application in. They're doing all the work, and you just sit back and wait for the applications to come through.
That I think is absolutely amazing. And I think if you haven't gotten something like that before, you should really consider, even if it's just to help you with the applications. I mean, if you want to do it piecemeal, I think that is absolutely amazing. So just think, I want to see if there's, we are going to share this session. It's going to be on YouTube. I'm going to send out a mailer to everyone with the link and William's details that they'd be in contact. Philip is asking, am I right that there is no OTP before an entity signs? Does that create risk that the person could argue at a rental tribunal that he didn't sign it? Okay, so Philip, I think you're referring to the lease agreement. And if it went out and all the parties didn't sign it, what I like about this system is, Philip, is I think it's going to be easier for people to follow up, especially with the renewal stage. Because remember, worst case scenario, you are going to sit with a verbal agreement, and we do not want verbal agreements. And how's a verbal agreement? You're starting sending invoices to someone. If they've taken occupation, at most there's a verbal agreement. So if the system has gone in, and especially because you want the documents to be signed before you hand over the keys, I think that is something that is going to be easily dealt with and answered to.
Actually, I think what you're asking there is it's about, do you know the person who has signed, they've signed that document, and we do verify that. So it's actually safer than a physical document, because we verify that you are who you say you are, and then you sign. And we track all of that. What time, what date, what IP address, and how did we verify you? So this holds up in court, 100%.
Okay, fantastic. So just to show you, I love tech, I like possibilities, but I'm not very good. So please ignore question number 2. If you answer that, that means you just love us and you wanted to indulge me, but it's not a question. The top one, I think, is just for us, because Xpello always, over and above it, we always try to improve. We were always like looking out for partners. And Talozen, I do think, has got a fantastic product. William, thank you very, very much for your time today. Thank you for, we are looking as Xpello, always excited to work with you guys and to run with this. So thank you very much for your time.
Brilliant. Thanks so much. Absolute privilege to be associated with Xpello and with you guys. And lovely meeting you all. So hope you have a good day.
Okay, so please look out for William's email address. We are going to send out that mailer. We're going to upload this session that you can go have a look at their system again. We're going to, so you've got his email address. Oh, thank you, Lizanne. You read my mind. There it is. Please copy it now, paste it. That if you guys want more information, that they can contact you and show you how they can make your lives easier. I know there's some agencies on here that's running very big books, and they are 2 people, 3 people. And I think this is really going to help them just go to that next level. So please have a look at that. And we will always look out to see how we can improve your lives. So, William, thank you very much. Please look out for our session in July, and remember our Mandela Day. Please stay warm and look after yourselves. Thank you.
Amazing. Thanks.